and staying absolutely safe as well. Would like to welcome you all once again to this platform of IAS Origin. IAS Origin के platform पे आप सबका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है जी. And what is more important is that again we are going to have economic development in India. We are going to be studying, and that's a part 2 because part 1 we have already covered day before yesterday. मतलब Monday को हमने part 1 किया था. On Monday we did the part 1, and now we're going to do the part 2 of it, and I'm sure you are going to gain immensely from this session as well, because this is again a session which is going to help you understand not only the facts but how exactly do we recall them. That is also equally important. So I hope I'm clearly audible to you guys. I hope I'm clearly visible to you guys as well. So please do let me in the comment section if I'm clearly audible and visible to all the people out there. Are you with us? Chale, that's perfectly fine. So what exactly are we going to be covering? We are going to be covering again the 5-year plans. But since we have covered till 1990, so we are going to go like 1990 onwards. 1990 onwards we are going to be going. Then we'll also study that transition which we saw from Planning Commission to Niti Aayog, and the transition took place in 2015. 2015 में वो transition हुई थी. We're going to be talking about that as well. So I hope you have revised the previous class. I hope you have at least watched the previous class. How many of you have watched the previous class? Tell me. Give me a hands up in the comment section. कितने लोगों ने previous class को at least watch किया है, देखा है? That's important, right? So be very clear about one thing at least, whenever you're preparing, you have to revise on regular basis. That is the prerequisite always. So if you are able to revise things on the regular basis, automatically you will be having a good command over things. ये हमेशा याद रखना. So this is not just for this subject economy, this is for every subject for that matter. You have to revise on regular basis. Hi Raghu, hello Anil, hello Mr. Vyor, everyone. I can certainly read all your comments. It's great to have you all here in the session. So I am really hopeful about one thing at least, that you all are able to gain from these sessions immensely. Okay, because these sessions are designed in order to help you clear not only the prelims but also in your mains examination. They are going to be a game changer for you. Remember this thing. So that is what the main idea is. So make sure you add these videos in your liked videos. Add this video in your liked videos so that later on as well you can come and revise them. You can come and easily revise this particular video. That is what the main agenda is. That is what the main idea is. Chalo, bahut badhiya. So as I certainly can see that all the people have joined this session. Precisely, ये काफी ज़्यादा important है. Got it? Okay. So do you remember how much we did in the previous class? How much we precisely did in the previous class? Anyone who can tell me? Now that is not a test, just to make sure that we are on the same page. So okay. So what I'll do is I'll just give you a quick overview just to make sure that we are on the same page. In the previous class, that is Monday class, we had a class on Monday, live class. Let me tell you, 12 p.m. live on this channel of IAS Origin, you will find the class all the time. That is the 12 p.m. is a fixed time and you are bound to get classes at this very timing. So be very clear about that thing. So on Monday, we did first 5-year plan, second 5-year plan, third, fourth, like this. And we came till here. We have covered this much in the Monday class. This is what we have done. I talked about this period when there was no 5-year plan and all these things we have covered. So in case you guys have missed it, I would really request you guys to watch that session once again so that you have a wonderful clarity on that. ठीक है, उसको जाके एक बार देख लो. That is what I would suggest you guys. And that is also going to be very much important. And today we are going to talk about this period when we have no 5-year plan. Then of course 8 5-year plan, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. So that is what the agenda is of today's class. This is what the agenda is of today's lecture or today's session or today's class, whatever you may call it. So 12 p.m. live, you are going to have these sessions on this very platform of IAS Origin. And I'll tell you the best part is that I clear all the doubts. In case there is any doubt for that matter, I always try to clear it there and then. So we don't, like to say कि भाई बाद में clear कर लेंगे, you know, because that बाद will never come. So ultimately we are going to be covering that, and I'll bring even more important sessions, for example, based on schemes also, important government schemes. So we'll be doing here, you know, all the important government schemes I'll be covering. It is going to be a very fruitful session once again, you know. So in the upcoming classes, you're going to have beautiful, you know, these topics, like they are so much important from the prelims and mains point of view. You all know that, and we are all going to be covering it at this very platform of IAS Origin. So, you know, everyone, I would request, you know, stay tuned, have some patience, and you're going to have wonderful content on this very platform. I think we are all sorted now. They get all set for the session then. Chalo. So I hope all of you have, you know, kept your notebooks ready. Why keeping the notebook ready is important? Because only then you will be able to note these things down, and only then you will be able to revise them effectively. Because only if you are, you know, noting things down specifically, you are going to be revising them on regular basis. So ये बहुत ज़रूरी है to note them down precisely. So I always suggest you guys, that's a basic suggestion, that keep your notebooks handy so that, you know, you are making running notes. Running notes always are important before examination. आप जब एग्जाम में जाएंगे तो you will find that thing, you know, precisely that running notes have always helped everyone around. Got it? So shall we start? Now, anyone who can tell me why do we have this break? Any idea? From 1990 to 1992, we have annual plans. We have no 5-year plan. But why in the first place are we taking this break? Anybody who can tell me? That's a basic question. Why in the first place are we having this break in the 5-year planning? That is my question. Batao zara. Let me see how many of you can tell me this question. It's a very basic question. My question says that why in the first place we are having no 5-year plans from 1990 to 1992? Was there any crisis happening at a big level? That is what my question says. Okay. Certainly, you know, there was some issue, but what that issue was, that is what I want to know. Shabash. Think about it. That's a very basic thing, right? We are having some issue. Okay, let's talk about that. So I start my class with this only. Today's class, you know, we have annual plans from 1990 to 1991 and 1991 to 1992. But what exactly is the issue which is going on? We see that there is political change at the center. You know, government is changing. We have to change the prime minister. And on top of that, we have very much volatile situation. At economic front, we have balance of payment worsening at this point in time. Now, what is balance of payment? Simply, if you import something, you know, if you import anything, oil or something, you have to pay for that, and you pay in dollars. And if you have very less quantity of dollars, very less quantum of dollars, what are you going to do? That is certainly going to be a bit of a problem. So here, that is what we are observing. Getting it? So things are not really rosy at the economic front in India, and that is what we are observing here. This is something you have to be understanding precisely. ये एक बहुत important चीज है. So what my idea is, we have to at least look into these things in that particular fashion, in that particular manner. Only then you will be in a position to have a basic level of understanding, basic level of clarity. Remember this. Inflation is very high. You know, mudrasfiti inflation in 1991 is very, very high. We are seeing that government is under the danger of falling into the debt trap, and growth rate also is not going very much great at this point in time. Now, because of so much crisis which is happening on various fronts, you know, political front, economic front, different problems we are facing at that point in time, what exactly do we observe? We are observing just one thing, that we have to go for some drastic measures. Now, what are the drastic measures? Drastic measures means that we have to take the kind of the steps which are going to take us out of the problem. You know, if there is a problem, you need to find some solutions. So you got to understand that whenever I talk about, you know, in 1991, we are going for some economic reforms. What economic reforms? Liberalization, privatization, globalization, we'll talk about them. So why are we going for them? Because we have rise in prices, that is inflation is there. We have rise in the fiscal deficit, that the government is spending more, earning less. Soviet Union, you know, this Russia, USSR, it was collapsing, and it was a dear friend of India. Russia was a very good friend of India. So if a friend is in danger, what will happen? Simply, it is definitely going to put a negative impact on India as well. In various front, India was also going to suffer because of a dear friend in the form of Russia who was suffering. So we are seeing at various fronts the problem are arising at that point in time. At various fronts, we are seeing that the problem is arising, and that is something we have to acknowledge. It is very important for us to acknowledge this very idea what we are looking at as of now. So you got to understand, Gulf War was going on in the Middle East. Middle East, which is also known as West Asia. In the West Asia, what are we observing? We are observing that a Gulf War is going on. That a Gulf War is going on in this Middle East. That is also a problem. Why? Because when the Gulf War is going on, we are seeing the rise in the crude oil price. Petrol was becoming expensive. PSUs were not performing well. Coal India Limited, ONGC, Oil India Limited, all these, they are not performing well. Then we are seeing forex reserves, they are very much down. We have just 2 weeks of payment forex reserves left. Now, why are forex reserves needed? When you used to import the crude oil, you need to pay in the dollars, that is the forex reserves. If you don't have the forex reserves, how are you going to pay for the import bill? That is what the biggest problem was. So I hope now you are able to make some sense that what in the first place is happening at that point in time. India is actually facing a bit of a problem at that point in time. Samajh aa gaya bete? Is that clear? Now my question is, what is the solution to this problem? Now that's a very big problem, right? It's a multidimensional problem. That how in the first place are we going to solve this problem? That is the biggest question. Tell me. I am just asking that how in the first place are we going to solve the problem? That is the biggest question. Thank you, Raju. Thank you so much. This is a very big question which we have at our hands. So ये आपको बताना है. We have to understand this idea. Thank you, Tanuj. Thank you so much. Anyone who can tell me? We have a problem, right? So we have to find a solution to this problem. And we did find a solution, of course. And because we did find a timely solution, that is how we were able to solve this. Okay, we did find a timely solution, which was actually great. And we in the first place were able to solve this very problem timely. So always remember this thing, that we have to understand, we came up with the solution of LPG. Now what is LPG? This is very interesting thing. LPG reforms are the answer to our problems. Liberalization, privatization and globalization, that is what we are coming up with. Liberalization, privatization and globalization is the answer to our problems of that particular time. Now my question is, what is liberalization? What is privatization? What is globalization? We have to at least acknowledge this. We have to at least understand this very point. So think about it. What exactly is this thing all about? Because see, I'll tell you something, we have to have a holistic clarity of things. ऐसे ऊपर से पढ़ के नहीं चलेगा. At least we need to have a development of fundamental understanding on these topics. Only then we are going to appreciate them. And only then you are going to retain that for the long term as well. आपको क्या करना है? Retain करना है इसको. And since you have to retain it, so you will be able to retain it only and only when you are studying that in a proper manner. So we have to develop the understanding of this. For example, when I talk about this, we are talking about liberalization, privatization and globalization. Simple point. है ना? We are talking about these things. Liberalization, privatization and globalization. You're right. Clear? So what exactly are the things we need to understand? What exactly are the things we need to look into? That is a big point. So what exactly are we going to do? What exactly are we doing at that point in time is going to be super important for us. So can anybody tell me if you guys know something about it? Batao. Have you ever heard of this term, LPG reforms? Dr. Manmohan Singh is the finance minister. PV Narasimha Rao is sitting as the prime minister. So certainly, this is a situation which required proper solution, and we had people in the place. We had good people in the place who were ready to give the solutions. But now question is, what are the solutions? Before I go ahead, make sure you add this video into liked videos. इसको अपनी liked videos में add कर लो so that you can revise it later on. नहीं तो मिलेगी नहीं video फिर. You won't be able to find it. So make sure you add it in your liked videos, all the people. चलिए. Now my question is, what is liberalization? What is globalization? What is privatization? That is my biggest question. Think about it. Good job. Liberalization, privatization and globalization. ठीक है. हाँ जी. Point clear हुआ? हाँ जी, हाँ जी. Very nice. Chalo. Now the point is that when I say liberalization, it means the process of making policies less constraining, less restrictions. So basically we are removing the restriction. So restrictions are being reduced or removed or lessened. Is that clear? I am hopeful of this thing that you are able to understand. What restrictions are we going to talk about? When I say restrictions, you must have heard about the term known as license Raj in India. What is license Raj in India? When I say license Raj, this means that in order to start any industry, in order to start any business, what are you going to do? Just imagine. You need some licenses. And if you don't have the licenses, you're not going to start that, business. That is what the idea is. Thank you, People's Choice. Thank you, Manav. Thank you, Vasha. So if you don't have the license, you're not going to start the business. This is what was before 1990. But because of these LPG reforms, liberalization, what we are doing, we are removing these barriers to the business so that the business should be able to do business properly without any specific restrictions. That is what the idea is. Getting the point? I hope you're appreciating this point. So we want business to do business without restrictions. That is what the idea is. Secondly, we are focusing on P, that is privatization. Now what is privatization? Of course, transfer of ownership from government to the private owned entities. What does that mean? That means we have government companies. In that, stake is being diluted to the private sector. It means that private sector's ownership is being increased. Initially, we had everything which was owned by the government. Most of the companies were owned by the government. Now we are seeing that private players are also having some power. Now we are seeing that private players are also entering that area, entering that arena, which was earlier reserved only and only for the government. Interesting. So this is what you need to understand. This is what the idea has to be very much clear. And similarly, globalization means expansion of economic activities across the political boundaries of the nation. It means Indian economy is being amalgamated with the global economy. That is very, very important point. Point clear हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ? ये बता दो. This is a simple and straightforward point we need to be understanding clearly and perfectly. हाँ जी. कोई doubt है किसी प्रकार का? If you're not able to understand things, you can surely let me know. But I am hopeful that things are absolutely clear now. So what are the salient features, bete? We are abolishing the industrial licensing permit. We are, making sure the public sector role is lessened or diluted. What is public sector? That is the government sector. So we are reducing the role of the government sector. We are pushing the private sector ahead, which is a great thing. Which is a great thing to be done at that time, right? So it was important. We are making sure the privatization is increasing in the country. Entry of the foreign investment is happening in the country. We are reducing the import duties. We are deregulating the markets. We are reducing the taxes. So, kul milake, in a way, government is giving way to the private sector to grow. Government is giving way to the private sector to grow. So, that is the background or that is the backdrop of the 8 5-year plan. Now, you know what we have done in 1990 to 1992. In the 1990 to 1992 period, okay, this is the thing which we have done. India was facing some sort of crisis, and these are the reforms which have saved India, LPG reforms. And the architect, you can say, Dr. Manmohan Singh, he was the finance minister, and PV Narasimha Rao was the prime minister. So these finance minister and the prime minister, they are sitting at the helm of these reforms, which is quite important. We have to look into this. Okay, Raj Lakshmi clear hai, Varsha clear hai, Tanuj, is that clear? Everyone who's watching the session, I hope you're able to make some sense out of it. Because see, take it as a chronology. You have to study these things as a chronology. You don't think ki these are the kind of things which are very much difficult. They are tricky, but they are not a thing which is very, very difficult. You can make some sense out of it easily. That is what I believe. Got it? And all in all, you can realize, once you study these things, once you revise that, so in the exam, if a question comes by chance, so you will be able to answer it properly, because now you have a conceptual understanding, right? That is what matters. So when I say, bete, about this idea, that is the 8th 5-year plan. So you got to understand, when I say 8th 5-year plan, in the 1990 to 1997 period, we have the 8th 5-year plan. So 8th 5-year plan is about what? It is about the LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. So basically, we are seeing the impact or the effect of LPG reforms. LPG reforms ke impact and effect we are looking at in this particular 8th 5-year plan. We need to understand that. आ रहा है समझ? सबको clear हो रहा है ना? So you are just supposed to have understanding on this particular point, because 8th 5-year plan is closely associated with LPG. So question will come that, during the LPG reforms implementation process, which plan do we observe? Yeah, which plan do we see? So we see the 8th 5-year plan. कौन सा 5-year plan? We see the 8th 5-year plan. This is quite important. So what my idea is that now you shouldn't be having a lot of problem in understanding this very aspect of 5-year plans. You have got a basic understanding, you have got a decent understanding in your head that what are these. And during 8th 5-year plan, we are seeing that in the implementation stage. So we are giving push to the service sector, trading, hotel, transport. Service sector is getting a push. Service sector. We have 3 sectors in the economy: primary, secondary, and tertiary. You know this thing? What is primary sector? Primary sector is agriculture. Primary sector is mining. What is secondary? Secondary sector is, tell me, kya hai secondary sector? It is manufacturing. It is the manufacturing sector, which is the secondary sector. And what is the tertiary sector? Tertiary sector is service sector. So service sector is getting a push during this LPG reform stage. Human development is being focused, So plan achieved. So basically, you see, target was set as 5.6, but we achieved 6.8, which is very much successful. 6.8 growth rate we have achieved in this plan, which is actually amazing. So always remember this particular thing. Do share the session with your friends if you are genuinely enjoying the session. And ultimately, see, I just want one thing only, that you have to have a proper clarity of things. Thank you, Tanuj, means a lot. So, because see, you can find these things in book, but ultimately, I'm making those things very much easy for you. What is the job of a mentor or a teacher or a faculty? To make these things easy for you. I'm not saying it's not present everywhere. It will be available in the books, even NCRTs. But in order to excel in these things, you have to have a good level of clarity what we are providing over here in this IAS Origin platform. So that is what the idea is. Okay, so ये एक important चीज है. Thank you, Manav, means a lot, bete. Now, 8th 5-year plan is very much clear, LPG reforms and everything. So now we move to the next 5-year. So you can see that is what we have discussed already. This is the 8th 5-year plan. We are focusing, plan with human face, human resource development. We are focusing LPG reforms we have seen. So these are the basic aspects related with that. Simple and straightforward thing. These are the basic aspects which are associated with this particular plan. That's it. हाँ जी, आगे बढ़े. Shall we talk about the 9th 5-year plan then? Okay. Now you know at least one thing, you know, whenever you're studying 5-year plans, how do you study that? कैसे पढ़ते हो आप? You are studying in a basic way that you are picking up the nuances which are involved. You are picking up the nuances as in what is more important in this, what is more important that is what you are basically focusing upon. That is what is important as well. वही चीज important है और क्या important है. Our idea is basically to have a good level of understanding. Okay. Now 9th 5-year plan today, again we are focusing on LPG 97 to 2002. Very important this is. Now again we have some other focus areas also. We are, you know, certainly going to be talking about that as well. वो क्या है उसके बारे में बात करेंगे. That whenever we are talking about this very 5-year plan, what exactly is the basic idea all about, वो भी हमने बात करनी है. We certainly have to be talking about that thing as well. But before that, always remember one thing, you know, that since 5-year plan is such an important topic, ठीक है, since 5-year plan is such an important topic, so you have to always understand one thing, that what all are the important aspects related to this. You must understand that it was during this plan we have a war, that is Kargil war. You know this thing, Kargil war with Pakistan. 1999 is the year when we are having a Kargil war. That is putting a negative impact, no doubt. And what is more important is, in 1997 we have started this plan, and 1997 is the same year in which we complete 50 years of independence. 50 years of independence or independent India, 1947 to 97. You know this thing. So question comes like this, that which plan is associated with the 50 years of independence? It is the 9th 5-year plan. We should be understanding this point as well. एक basic चीज है. So always be very clear about this thing, that you are understanding the small nuances which are associated. ये समझ आया कि नहीं आया? मतलब this is a simple aspect which I want you all to understand. It's important. Anyways, it is stressing upon mainly 4 dimensions. Namely, you know, quality of life should be there, productive employment, regional balance, self-reliance. It is focusing on that. And it was able to achieve the growth rate of 5.5 as compared to target which was set at 6.5. So the target is how much? Target is set at 6.5, but is achieving 5.5 because of the Kargil war. So Kargil war की वजह से थोड़ा सा growth impact हुआ है. We have to understand that. Is that clear? So you are, you know, supposed to know these things because they are very much explicit and they are, you know, directly asked in the examination, which are going to be very much important. समझ आ रहा है? So I am hopeful that now these are the kind of things which are not going to trouble you in the exam. Can I assume that? And you know, we are going to come with a series of the schemes, government schemes. So make sure you are all up for that. You know, make sure, because ultimately the kind of the questions which will come, they are going to be covering, you know, all these aspects. So we have to be very much clear in that regards. Okay. So 9th 5-year plan, you know. 10th 5-year plan we talk about. Now the 10th 5-year plan is 2002 to 2007. That is the time period of the 10th 5-year plan. Everybody knows that. Now when I talk about the 10th 5-year plan today, you got to understand that we are focusing upon a very important thing, that is reduction of poverty. Once again, we are focusing on that. And what is the target here? The target is of 8%. We have set the target at 8%. But what is the achievement? We have achieved only 7.6%. So this is something we have to understand. Very important this is. And our focus is again service sector, real estate, transport, you know, some industries as well. So, but what is more important is that we have to understand that 10th 5-year plan may we have a universal access to the primary education also. And target was very much ambitious, but still we were able to achieve decent. That is 7.6% is a good growth which we have achieved during this particular plan. कितने achieve कर लिए हमने? 7.6%. We have to understand this particular point. So ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. Very much important this is. So, these 5-year plans are not that important. Now we'll talk about 11th and 12th, and I'll try to make sure that you know what is the difference. The last two 5-year plans, if I talk about, focus on this particular aspect, that is the 11th and the 12th 5-year plan. Ye dekho. When I say 11th 5-year plan, bete, its focus was faster and more inclusive growth. That is what the aim is. Faster and more inclusive growth. Similarly, when I say 12th 5-year plan, its focus is rapid or faster, more inclusive and sustainable growth. So this word sustainable is being added. This word sustainable is being added to this, which was not here. यहाँ पे नहीं था, यहाँ पे है. So this is the major difference. So from 2007 to 12, we have 11th 5-year plan. And from 2012 to 2017, we have 12th 5-year plan. 12th 5-year plan. Remember this thing always. So what is the difference in the motto? What is the difference in the aim? You can understand. We have faster, more inclusive, sustainable growth. So this word, new word is added. So don't get confused if a question comes. You know the word sustainable has been added to this motto of 11th 5-year plan to make it 12th 5-year plan. Simple point. That is a very simple point we need to be understanding precisely. Hai na? Clear hai na? So now see, this is how you're supposed to analyze things. If you're able to do that, you're good to go. So a lot of time this question comes, and a lot of time students do get confused as well in this. You don't have to get confused. Aa raha samajh? Let's move ahead then. Okay. So can I assume that whatever we are studying over here, you are able to make some sense out of it? Samajh aa raha sabko? Everybody is understanding everything in detail. That is what my idea is. You can take a screenshot of this. This is the most important thing, because we have seen questions coming in the exams, previous year exams, and I am expecting that similar questions will be arriving in the upcoming exams as well. So that's what my assumption is. Okay, chalo, perfect. Now having said that, we are seeing a big transition. We are seeing a big transition. Now what is the transition about? What exactly is the transition I'm going to talk about? Think about it. Hello Vanshika, hello Arvind. So let us talk about this transition. Everybody knows that today Niti Aayog is an important body. We are all aware of this thing. But you know what? Niti Aayog was formed on 1st of January 2015. 2015, 1st of January, we are seeing Niti Aayog is coming. And it has replaced the Planning Commission. So you have to understand this thing, that ultimately we used to have a body Planning Commission, we all are aware of. So Planning Commission, which has been there from 1950 till 2014 end, it is finally replaced on 1st of January 2015. Now this date is important, 1st January 2015, with the Niti Aayog. Now that's a very big transition, remember, because ultimately, you are bound to get some questions on this particular aspect, and of course we have to answer. So, in around August 2014, Planning Commission was dissolved. Okay, Planning Commission was dissolved. So which was the last 5-year plan? If somebody says, you will say it's a 12th 5-year plan, 2012 to 2017. Uske baad koi 5-year plan nahi aaya. So 12th 5-year plan was the last 5-year plan. We should be able to understand that. 12th 5-year plan was the last 5-year plan. We are supposed to understand this point. And I'm hopeful that you all understand this aspect. Sabko ye baat pata hai? Everybody is aware of this fact. Okay. So remember that when we say Niti Aayog is established, so Niti Aayog is established in the starting of 2015, 2015. And in the end of 2014, Planning Commission is finished as a body. That's a big transition in the planning process. I'll tell you the difference. We'll talk about the difference precisely. So I'm sure now you know this thing. Now what is Niti Aayog? When I say Niti Aayog, you should know it is National Institution for transforming India. Now, full form is important, definitely important. Full form of Niti Aayog is definitely important. And it is a policy think tank established in 2015. I've already told you. It replaced the Planning Commission. Which Planning Commission? Which was there from 1950 till 2014. We all are aware of this thing, bete. 1950 to 2014, we have the Planning Commission in place. Everybody is aware of this. Remember this thing. हुआ clear कि नहीं? ठीक है? So I am hopeful that you are able to understand that. Now remember one thing, what Planning Commission was doing. Planning Commission used to form 5-year plan. 5-year plans. What Niti Aayog is doing, Niti Aayog is making 3 plans. One is action plan for 3 years. One is strategy plan for 7 years and one is vision plan for 15 years. So don't you think this is a great approach? Short term, medium term and long term approach. So what was Planning Commission doing? Planning Commission was making only one plan, that is 5-year plan. But what is Niti Aayog's approach? Niti Aayog is coming up with 3 different plans. One is very short term plan, one is medium term and one is long term. So remember this thing, that ultimately we have to make short term planning, medium term planning and long term planning strategy. What is Niti Aayog? So why is Niti Aayog so much special? If somebody asks you the basic difference between the Planning Commission and Niti Aayog, you have to answer like this, that Niti Aayog is coming with action plan, strategy plan and vision plan, which is for 3 years, 7 years and 15 years respectively. समझ आया कि नहीं आया? So you have to be, always ready with these kind of things, because when the question comes now, then you may not be able to think that what the answer is going to be like. So that is how you answer. And I'll tell you, what the difference is. We'll certainly be discussing the difference as well. But this is a very major difference which we have talked about. This is a very, very major difference which we have certainly talked about. That, we are doing a paradigm shift. And Niti Aayog is what? Niti Aayog is basically think tank only. Niti Aayog is basically a think tank, as we all can see. Policy think tank. What does think tank do? Batao zara. What does think tank do? Think tank gives you some ideas and then you work on those ideas. As simple as that. So whenever you see a think tank, so think tank's idea is what? Think tank's idea is very much, clear, that think tank will tell you basically that, where you're going wrong, where you should go right, and it is not binding on you. If think tank says something, you may agree to that or you may disagree to that. It is as simple as that. So think tank is never going to impose anything on anyone. This is the main idea which we need to understand. Is it making some sense to you? So think tank is never going to impose anything on anyone. This is what we need to understand. So that is what Niti Aayog is all about. So I have told you Niti Aayog's idea. Anyway, so now you got to understand, how do we see the difference? We see major difference. For example, when I say Planning Commission enjoyed the powers to allocate funds to the ministries and state government. So it was very powerful body. But when I say Niti Aayog, it is just an advisory body. It is think tank. I have told you it is a think tank. It has experts, but it is a think tank. And the powers to allocate fund is invested in the finance ministry. Interesting. Similarly, you got to understand that state role was limited to the National Development Council and annual interaction during the plan meeting. In the Niti Aayog, state governments are expected to play more active role. So states are playing very much active role in the planning. States are playing a very much active role in the overall planning, which is certainly important. ये आपने याद रखना है, बहुत important है. So only this ways you are going to make some sense out of it, right? This data is very important. And when we talk about the Planning Commission, it did not have a provision for the part-time members. Niti Aayog is the number of the part-time members. We have various experts, in fact. We have a lot of experts because Niti Aayog is a think tank. This is so Niti Aayog is a think tank. So it has a lot of experts, part-time members it has. That certainly makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Understanding this point or not? So ultimately when we see Niti Aayog, so Niti Aayog has to be seen in this manner, which is quite important. So, you know what my overall clarity is, that it's a big transition, no doubt, but it's a very positive transition, we would say. It is a great transition. So, ये आपने ध्यान में रखना है हमेशा. The commission, the planning commission, if we talk about, and here we have Niti Aayog. So, the planning commission reported to National Development Council. You know this thing. Here Niti Aayog mein governing council is there. It has state chief ministers and lieutenant governor. So the process is very much streamlined. Process is very much streamlined. This is what we need to understand. In Niti Aayog, we have a post of CEO, secretary rank, officer is there. This is very much seamless. The functioning is very much seamless. That is what we need to understand. One thing I would like to tell you is that in Niti Aayog, we have a bottoms-up approach. That means consulting the state is important while making the policy. Whereas in the planning commission, the policy was formed and the states were then consulted about the allocation of the fund. So in the planning commission, we have a top-down approach. In Niti Aayog, we have a bottom-up approach, which is good. This approach is considered very much good. इसको अच्छा मानते हैं हम लोग. मतलब that is what in today's world, in the sense of the governance, we consider a very welcome thing. So all in all, you are supposed to have a basic level of clarity on these things. That is what we need to understand. Clear hai ji? So I am hopeful that in today's class also you have learned something out of it. So what all have we done? As I told you, what the agenda was. We have done that thing only. On Monday, day before yesterday, we did this much. Today, we have done this annual plan, LPG reforms, 8th plan, 9th year plan, 10th year plan, 11th plan and 12th 5-year plan we have done. And then we have also seen the Niti Aayog. And we have also seen that how planning commission is different from the Niti Aayog. We have seen how the transition matters, why is the transition important, everything we have seen. And I'm sure that you have, understood each and everything. हर चीज जो है आपने understand की है वो important है. What is more important? Understanding things is very much important. Thank you, Tanuj. It means a lot. Hanji, hanji. So, can I say one thing, that ultimately what we are studying over here, you are understanding these points precisely. Means a lot, Raju. Thank you so much, bete. मतलब सबको एक clarity मिली है कि नहीं मिली है? Because see, what I am teaching over here is for the clarity sake only. Again, these things are there in the books, but the way we are doing that, it's a bit different. Hanji, Manav, thank you so much. Tanuj, Raju, Manav means a lot, bete. Thank you so much. So ultimately, see, what I have seen is that a lot of students do face some sort of problem in these topics. So that's why we have to discuss these topics, because when they come in the exam ना, तो फिर प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है, फिर आपको समझ नहीं आता कि कैसे उसको आंसर करें. सो अल्टीमेटली वी आर सपोज टू हैव अ गुड लेवल ऑफ डिस्कशन व्हाट वी डू ओवर हियर. विनायक, कुमार, तरुण, चलो बहुत बढ़िया जी, थैंक यू सो मच. सो आई होप इन अ वे you have understood things precisely, you have got a good level of understanding on all these aspects. And thank you so much for showing all the support. So tomorrow we'll meet at 12 PM then. Kal. Tomorrow, again an exciting topic will come at 12 PM. So I'm sure that you all are up for that. Okay? So it's going to be quite interesting. So kal milte hain fir 12 baje. Live. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you are able to come live. So now you know the destination. It's a IAS Origin, and here you have to be there at 12 PM. I think it's going to be very much simple. Chalo. So thank you so much. It was great having this session. And in the description box, you can find the link and you can register for the masterclass. That is all going to be free for you. So make sure you register for the masterclass in the link given in the description box below. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Keep on revising these things. That is certainly, very much important. Because if you revise things precisely, okay, Raj Lakshmi, thank you, Varshika, thank you. For all those who are joining me now, watch this class once again. Okay, and tomorrow we'll meet at 12 PM live. Tomorrow we'll meet at 12 PM live. Thank you so much. It was great having this class. All the best. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.